It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
We're the Insiders. So, Scott, looking like Tony Evers may well be running for re-election, although that's not determined. But there's much bigger question on the Republican side. Lots of potential out there. Who is going to be the Republican nominee? Can you tell us today?
No idea, really, at this point. There's not any person who dominates the field at the moment. The first guy in was Josh Schoeman, the Washington County executive, who was also an Iraq war veteran, farmer, salt of the earth guy. He's, if there's a tag on him, it's that he's not flashy, just gets the job done in his time there. Might be the right time for that here in Wisconsin. You got Tom Tiffany, who's thinking about it, a congressman who probably has the highest name ID of anyone in the race, and the most experience, I think, in state government. He was on the town board, he was in state assembly, he was on the state senate, and is now a member of Congress. And there's something about Tom Tiffany that reminds me of Tommy Thompson in 1986, where lots of people on the outside said, lots of the donor class said, well, I don't think he can do it. He's a small town guy. He's, kind of a hick. And yeah, I think that turned out all right in 1986 for Tommy Thompson. The other guy in the race, or that I was thinking about the race, is Bill Berrien, who is a former Navy SEAL and a successful manufacturer here in southeastern Wisconsin. He's been less involved in politics than the other two. He's more of a mainstream Republican rather than a MAGA Republican. That'd probably help him in a general election, but it might make it harder for him in a Republican primary. Occasionally you hear the names of Eric Hovde or of Sean Duffy, but I think both those people are more likely to take a look at running for the United States Senate in 2028 than they are in running for governor in 2026. So I think we've got some strong people taking a look at it. No one's got the edge at this point, and none of them have the commanding lead that we've had for some candidates in the past.
Well, I think that sounds like a reasonable summary of where the Republican race is at. I'd love to throw in my dark horse candidate, and I think John Gard would do great. And the reason he'll do so well is he's still running up in his home district. He looks fantastic. He looks marvelous, as they say. He's ready for the fight, and
he's ready to run. You're saying
he's ready to run. Exactly. Now you beat me to it, Scott. But I think Scott gives a good analysis. I think here's the problem, and here's the reason why I think some of these people may drop out at the end of the day. It's going to be a very tough year, I think, for Republicans in Wisconsin. We've just had 2 in a row judicial races, and we're finding that these lower turnout races really produce better margins for Democrats or progressives. 10-point margin by Susan Crawford in this last rate, 11-point margin for Janet Protasewicz. Now, you say, well, a gubernatorial bigger turnout. Well, actually, there was a much larger turnout than ever in the Crawford race. Some of it perhaps driven by money, but a lot of it driven by who are the people who are going to be motivated. Trump has a particular appeal that works in the presidential year. But in the gubernatorial year, the turnout in Crawford's race was nearly what a gubernatorial turnout was. I think that means that Democrats are going to be in a very strong position next year. And that'll be interesting to see when they finally get polling done and when the analysis is done and their consultants come back to them, how some of these Republican candidates are going to think about actually running that race. And I do think that that's part of the reason why maybe Hovde and some others are not thinking of taking on the gubernatorial race. It may be they may assert a particular reason, but I wonder if it doesn't have something to do with the lack of likelihood that they're going to win. I heard a lot of people saying that they thought that Tony Evers was on the edge and could lose 3 years ago. And he won by a pretty good substantial margin. And I think that margin only grows given what's happened with Trump. By the way, if you wonder where I'm getting a lot of this from, look at the town hall meetings, which are going so terribly for Republicans across this country and in Wisconsin. Some people like Van Orden aren't even having these get-togethers. That harkens me back to 2010 when the Tea Party got going. Same problem for Democrats, maybe more intense at that time, but still, I think you're seeing it now with Republicans, and I think they're going to pay the price next year at the ballot box.
Well, I think you're right that some of these Republicans are going to take a look at what the midterms will bring for Republicans. And the second midterm in a president's tenure is usually the worst, right? So a president who serves 8 years, even if it's split up, that second midterm, they're usually paying the price. The people down ballot are paying the price for the decisions that have been made by the president in his final term. On the other hand, we've only elected one person to a third four-year term in Wisconsin's entire history. We haven't even elected but one person to 3 terms as governor back when we had 2-year terms. So, the historical odds are that it's a very difficult thing to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if Governor Evers says, "I've done enough," and decides to retire. That would completely scramble the race, probably change who's in the race on both sides of the aisle dramatically. But I think those two factors sort of weigh against each other. We'll see. Clearly, the stronger factor historically has been the national feeling, the national impact in the midterms. So all
We'll
that's
see what
got to be
happens. It's going to
factoring
be
into everybody's
interesting.
decision.
It's going to be an interesting one, and I think you're going to see, I think, Democrats in the ascendancy, but we will see. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Insider with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.